Chapter 3. 3 rains had passed, and it was that lean season when the village's store of grain and other dried foods from the last harvest was almost gone. The men had hunted, but they had returned with only a few small antelopes and gazelle and some clumsy bushfowl, for in this season of burning sun, so many of the savannah's waterholes had dried into mud that the bigger and better game had moved into deep forest, at the very time when the people of Jafur needed all their strength to plant crops for the new harvest. Already the wives were stretching their staple meals of couscous and rice with the tasteless seeds of bamboo cane and with the bad-tasting dried leaves of the baobab tree. The days of hunger had begun so early that 5 goats and 2 bullocks, more than last time, were sacrificed to strengthen everyone's prayers that Allah might spare the village from starvation. Finally, the hot skies clouded, the light breezes became brisk winds, and, abruptly, as always, the little rains began, falling warmly and gently as the farmers hoed the softened earth into long, straight rows in readiness for the seeds. They knew the planting must be done before the big rains came. The next few mornings, after breakfast, instead of canoeing to their rice fields, the farmers' wives dressed in the traditional fertility costumes of large fresh leaves, symbolizing the green of growing things, and set out for the furrowed fields of the men. Their voices would be heard rising and falling even before they appeared as they chanted ancestral prayers that the couscous and ground nuts and other seeds in the earthen bowls balanced on their heads would take strong roots and grow. With their bare feet moving in step, the line of women walked and sang 3 times around every farmer's field. Then they separated, and each woman fell in behind a farmer as he moved along each row, punching a hole in the earth every few inches with his big toe. Into each hole a woman dropped a seed, covered it over with her own big toe, and then moved on. The women worked even harder than the men, for they not only had to help their husbands but also tend both the rice fields and the vegetable gardens they cultivated near their kitchens. While Binta planted her onions, yams, gourds, cassava, and bitter tomatoes, little Kunta spent his days romping under the watchful eyes of the several old grandmothers who took care of all the children of Jafur who belonged to the first kafo, which included those under 5 reigns in age. The boys and girls alike scampered about as naked as young animals, some of them just beginning to say their first words. All, like Kunta, were growing fast, laughing and squealing as they ran after each other around the giant trunk of the village baobab, played hide-and-seek, and scattered the dogs and chickens into masses of fur and feathers. But all the children, even those as small as Kunta, would quickly scramble to sit still and quiet when the telling of a story was promised by one of the old grandmothers. Though unable yet to understand many of the words, Kunta would watch with wide eyes as the old women acted out their stories with such gestures and noises that they really seemed to be happening. As little as he was, Kunta was already familiar with some of the stories that his own Grandma Yaisa had told to him alone when he had been visiting her in her hut. But along with his first kafo playmates, he felt that the best storyteller of all was the beloved, mysterious, and peculiar old Nyoboto. Bald-headed, deeply wrinkled, as black as the bottom of a cooking pot, with her long lemongrass root chew stick sticking out like an insect's feeler between the few teeth she had left, which were deep orange from the countless kola nuts she had gnawed on, old Nyoboto would settle herself with much grunting on her low stool. Though she acted gruff, the children knew that she loved them as if they were her own, which she claimed they all were. Surrounded by them, she would growl, "Let me tell you a story." "Please," the children would chorus, wriggling in anticipation. And she would begin in the way that all Mandinka storytellers began. At this certain time, in this certain village, lived this certain person. It was a small boy, she said, of about their reigns, who walked to the river bank one day and found a crocodile trapped in a net. "Help me," the crocodile cried out. "You'll kill me," cried the boy. "No, come nearer," said the crocodile. So the boy went up to the crocodile, and instantly was seized by the teeth in that long mouth. "Is this how you repay my goodness? With badness?" cried the boy. "Of course," said the crocodile out of the corner of his mouth. "That is the way of the world." The boy refused to believe that, so the crocodile agreed not to swallow him without getting an opinion from the first 3 witnesses to pass by. First was an old donkey. When the boy asked his opinion, the donkey said, "Now that I'm old and can no longer work, my master has driven me out for the leopards to get me." "See," said the crocodile. Next to pass by was an old horse, who had the same opinion. "See," said the crocodile. Then along came a plump rabbit who said, "Well, I can't give a good opinion without seeing this matter as it happened from the beginning." Grumbling, the crocodile opened his mouth to tell him, and the boy jumped out to safety on the river bank. "Do you like crocodile meat?" asked the rabbit. The boy said yes. "And do your parents?" He said yes again. "Then here is a crocodile ready for the pot." The boy ran off and returned with the men of the village, who helped him to kill the crocodile, but they brought with them a wolo dog, which chased and caught and killed the rabbit too. "So the crocodile was right," said Nioboto. "It is the way of the world that goodness is often repaid with badness. This is what I have told you as a story." "May you be blessed, have strength, and prosper," said the children gratefully. Then the other grandmothers would pass among the children with bowls of freshly toasted beetles and grasshoppers. These would have been only tasty tidbits at another time of year, but now, on the eve of the big rains, with the hungry season already beginning, the toasted insects had to serve as a noon meal, for only a few handfuls of couscous and rice remained in most families' storehouses.